Hey guys, welcome back to Trek on the Tube and welcome back to another review and Easter eggs video. Today, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 3, Point of Light. But before we dive in deep, I thought I might just go on one of my tangents. It won't be long, trust me, and it ties in well into my review, so it's not a complete waste of time, come on. Okay, so without saying that I've never been interested by what's been happening on Discovery so far, because that would be a lie, and without saying that there were no good episodes in Season 1, that would also be a lie, I still would like to point out that for the first time since Discovery's initial release, when watching Point of Light, I actually found myself appreciating a normal episode of an alright show. Yeah, there are some characters I don't like, and there are some very convenient plot developments, also some overly dramatic moments, but these are all normal flaws that you'll find in every normal TV show that isn't, actively bad. Now, I'm not saying that it's this episode specifically that is brilliant or anything, I'm just trying to say that it so happens, it was while I was watching this one that I realized Season 2 has actually been a good show to watch. I no longer feel an obligation to watch the show for the channel, or because it's called Star Trek. I'm now watching Discovery because it's good, which is huge. I mean, on my very professional and obviously Academy-approved rating scale that goes from absolute bullshit to true greatness, Season 1 stands pretty solidly at average on the low side. But so far, Season 2 would be alright. That's a big leap. That's true improvement. And I'm impressed. So, Point of Light, Episode 3. For starters, it's a modern episode of a serialized TV show in the sense that you'll probably never really be able to remember it for its uniqueness. It'll never stand out the way, say, Episode 2 most likely will. The episode advances 3 separate plots and simply serves the greater purpose of furthering the serialized story of Discovery. Now that doesn't make it bad, it's just how TV is made nowadays. My main problem with that here specifically is that the episode is furthering Season 1 plots that I wish we could just leave behind. I don't exactly care about L'Rell, nor Vox/Tyler, or his relationship with Burnham, or Emperor Georgiou for that matter, so, I don't know. That being said, even if I'm not a fan of these characters, and even if the episode kinda felt like a return to Season 1, I still enjoyed myself. I found the performances compelling, especially in the character moments between Burnham and Amanda, or Burnham and Tilly. For the most part, the directing is great, not so much the action sequences or when we get the intense, camera-shake drama moments on the bridge, but again, those character moments really work. Osun Sanmi keeps the camera stable and focused and really lets us process the emotions the characters are going through. The CG is still very acceptable for a TV show, except in the Klingon fight scene. Maybe the blood felt off or fake. The blood splurts out everywhere in a very Spartacus manner, but then there's no physical splatter on the costumes. It didn't make sense. The ships in space are great though, and the sets and props are outstanding. I mean, Kronos, wow. Everything Klingon related that aren't the Klingons themselves is fantastic. The amount of detail is astonishing. The buildings, the weapons, even the Section 31 bridge is great. It's a shame they had to put the blue filter on it, boom. But I love the two-level bridge, I really do. Overall, it's not great, right? But it's not bad, so it's acceptable television. Okay, that's my review. That's my opinion, and right about now is usually the time where I start talking about Easter eggs and references, but I feel like I have to address the Klingon redesign before we get into that, and there's no short way of doing this. This is going to be somewhat long, so bear with me. These Klingons look better than in Season 1, and yes, the hair helps, but the hair doesn't help in the way you think it does. Putting hair on a Klingon doesn't make a Klingon more Klingon. To think so is ridiculous. Klingons are like humans. They can be bald, or they can have long hair, or short hair, or ponytails. It really doesn't matter. So I insist. Putting hair on Klingons doesn't make them more Klingon. Nor does it make the current Discovery design correct all of a sudden. The problem with the Discovery Klingons is that they are wrong on an anatomical level. More hair can't fix that. They have 4 nostrils. Why? They have claws. Why? They have strange waffle necks and ears that stick into their heads. Why? Not to mention the ridiculously elongated skulls. All the hair does is distract you from all that, hide it a little. So, they're still wrong, you just don't see it as much. Justifying the lack of hair in Season 1 with a cheap excuse, I don't mind. Klingons shave their heads in time of war. Look, it doesn't make sense, and it's never been seen before, but fine. I can accept that. I can accept that, for whatever reason, these Klingons, in this time period, thought that it would be cool to go bald for the war. Whatever. But none of that justifies every other major physical difference. And for those that say it's not important, if it's not important, why don't they make Yoda blue? Or Spock black? Or actually, why don't they take the Vulcan design and tweak it? You know, just a bit. why don't we make the ears still pointy but really, really long? Why not? Because it's dumb. Because it goes against everything that was established before. Because visual continuity and coherence is just as much a part of the Star Trek story than anything else. And it's not like those creating the show don't know that. I mean, Lorella's been seriously toned down this season. Putting the hair aside for a bit, she no longer has such a long skull, the ridges are less intense, the chin piece is gone, the nostrils are less pronounced, so yeah. She looks better. And sadly, I'm afraid that's gonna calm people down and everyone's just gonna think, yeah, it's fine, it's fixed. Because it's not. Because now on a story level, it's even worse. I mean, what justifies a radical visual change? I would have much preferred that they bring in traditional Klingons this season, place them next to their ones, and say that they come from different parts of the Empire. And then, I don't know, eventually have the traditional ones replace the others. And the others go back to the outskirts of the Empire, where we, don't really see them again for hundreds of years. And please, stop using the multiple Klingon redesigns of the past to justify what we're doing today. Mistakes of the past don't justify mistakes of today. On the contrary, we should learn from the mistakes of the past. And improve. God. I'm gonna get so much crap for saying all this. Okay, that was my Klingon piece. Please remember that I did enjoy this episode, and I still am very open-minded regarding everything Discovery shows us on screen, considering the show simply isn't over yet. Many things can happen before the end. Okay. Alright, on a lighter note, Easter eggs and references, beginning with, why not, everything Klingon related. For starters, pink blood. There is still no in-universe explanation as to why sometimes Klingon blood is pink and most times it's red, but the pink blood is an obvious callback to Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. L'Rell explains that the 24 houses are now united and she is now Chancellor, presiding over a High Council. This aligns itself pretty much with every other previous iteration of Star Trek. She then presents a new ship design to the High Council, which is clearly the iconic D7 from the original series. She also at one point compares herself and Vok to Keles and Lukura. This is a reference to the iconic couple at the center of most Klingon beliefs. Now I don't know if this technically counts as an Easter egg, but in case you didn't notice, Kenneth Mitchell was back, but not as Cole this time. He was playing the role of his father, or Cole's father, Cole Shah. And here's something interesting that the internet told me about the episode's title, Point of Light. In the Next Generation episode, The Rightful Heir, it's explained that when Keles left his people, he pointed to a star and told them to look for him at that point of light. Turns out, he was pointing to a planet called Boreth, on which the Klingons eventually built a monastery, and that's where Vok left his son. Burnham receives a secret transmission from Vok, and she has a tribal ringtone set up for when he calls. Amanda Grayson at one point mentions the four of us when talking about the Sarek family, which is odd because including Sybok would actually make them 5, not 4. But then Sybok is technically only Sarek's son, and also he's a Vulcan prince, so maybe he never really was a part of the household. Maybe he was off doing, Vulcan prince things, whatever. Burnham talks about Shikar. That's the city in which Sarek and his family lived, first mentioned in the animated series. To finish this off, Pike is apparently, to quote the other captain that calls him, still communicating on screens like the other captain's grandmother, which is a very odd thing to say considering everyone else communicates on screens for the next 200 years or more. But Pike's response is actually quite interesting. He says that the guy's grandmother is the only other smart person around, so maybe Pike has a valid and justified reason for communicating on screens that we and the other characters just don't know yet. And there you go. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think of the episode? What do you think of the season so far? Remember to leave a comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and most of all, live long and prosper.